integers? Gideon, what are integers?
Like negative and positive.
Good. Negative and positive what? Okay, what type of numbers? It's very specific. It's not extremely important, but just to understand. Positive or negative, can they be fractions?
Yes.
They actually cannot if they're integers. Can they be decimals?
Yes.
They actually cannot if they're integers. Good. Positive or negative whole numbers, all right? So integers are positive
They have lines too.
or negative whole numbers. Okay? Now that doesn't mean like a fraction and a decimal can't be negative, but they just aren't classified as integers if they are fractions or decimals. Okay? Alright. So, one thing we need to understand is so let's look at this number line. If I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's just go that far. Negative 1, negative 2.
5, 6, 7,
What do we notice about this number line? What do we notice? Just give me a description
two sides.
of the number line. There's two sides.
There's numbers.
What separates the two sides?
0.
0. Okay, what else do we notice about the number line?
There's numbers.
Okay, there are numbers, yeah. There's negative and positive. So which side of 0 is negative?
Left.
Left. The right side is positive. Okay, what else do we notice about it? Where are the bigger numbers?
Right.
The bigger numbers are to the right of a number line. So would you agree with me that 6 is bigger than 3?
Yes.
Yes, and it's to the right, right? Would you agree with me that 2 is bigger than negative 1?
Yes.
Would you agree that negative 3 is smaller than 4?
Yes.
But here's where I get confused. I don't actually get confused here, but this is where students get confused. This says negative 6. How is negative 6 smaller than negative 2? Isn't negative 6, doesn't it look bigger?
Yes. It's farther from 0.
It looks bigger, but what's the rule or what's the thought here?
It's farther from 0.
Audrey?
The negative 2 is closer to the 0, so negative 6 is farther away.
Negative 2 is closer to 0, so it makes it what?
Bigger.
Okay, but over here 6 was bigger. 2 is closer than 6, and 2 is not bigger than 6.
Past the 0.
It's a positive number.
So it changes when it's positive. So good, you can use that rule as long as you're in the negatives. The closer to 0 that a negative is, the bigger it is.
It could be a million.
But as soon as you get to the positives, that rule doesn't exist anymore. Okay, because it would actually be flipped. The further away from 0, the bigger it is. I have one overriding rule that you can use for the entire number line. And I'm fine with the rule that Audrey just said. The closer to 0 negative is, the bigger it is. Does that make sense? Here's my one overriding rule. When you look at a number line, the further a number is to the right, the bigger it is. So if I told you to compare negative 2 and negative 4, which one's further right? Negative 2 or negative 4? Which one's further to the right?
Negative 2.
Negative 2, so it's bigger. If I told you to compare negative 5 and negative 25,
5.
which one's bigger?
5.
Okay, good. Why?
It's closer to the
Closer to the
It's
0.
further to the right. Or in the case of using that rule, it is closer to 0. Okay, if I told you to compare 76 way out there and negative 1, which one's bigger? 76, obviously. But would you agree that it's further to the right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So when you're comparing numbers, the further to the right on a number line it is, the bigger the number. Okay? So let's put these in order from least to greatest. Let's go negative 5, 2, the absolute value of negative 4,
Least to greatest.
negative 4, and 2.5.
Oh, me.
Least to greatest. Least to greatest. What is my smallest value up there?
Negative
Negative
Michael?
5.
Negative 5.
Negative 5. I would agree. This is my smallest value. I like to cross them out as we go just so we can have a little visual. What is my next smallest value?
Negative 4.
Brody?
Negative 4. Not the absolute value one, but negative 4.
Good, I would agree. It is negative 4. And you said not the absolute value because what is the absolute value of negative 4?
4.
Positive.
It's 4. What's the absolute value of any number?
4.
Positive.
The distance it is from,
0.
and it's going to be a positive. Good. What comes next? 2. Absolute value of negative 4 or 2.5?
2.
2.
2.
2.5. It's negative 4. It's negative and positive.
2.5.
And
Negative 4.
And then the absolute value of negative 4. Okay? Alright, last thing. If I told you to compare negative 6 and negative 5, I have this line here. Would this be less than? Oops, I shouldn't confuse you. Would it be less than, greater than, or equal to? Is negative 6 what?
Less.
Lacey? Negative 6 is less than negative 5. If I say it's less than, which the small side should be facing what? The negative 6. It should be facing the smaller number. You're exactly right. So the big side eats the bigger number. Does that make sense? So if I read this backwards, this would say negative 5 is greater than negative 6. If I read it this way, it's negative 6 is less than negative 5. Alright, we good?
Yep.
Alright, that is level 238. We should fly through that, and I'll